In this video, I will show you how you can use the present simple in the positive, negative, and the question form. So first, the positive. So in the present simple, the way you make the positive with the pronoun I, you, we, and they is you need a subject, a verb, and an object. So for example, I like sports. The I that you can see here, you can also exchange it for you, we, and they. Meaning you can use I, you, we, and they. They all follow the same rule. Okay, so I like sports, you like sports, we like sports, they like sports. Okay, the verb does not change whether you use I, you, we, or they. Okay, the positive form. Now let's look at the second part here. He, she, and it. Why did we put them all together? Because the rule of putting an S at the verb, so he likes sport, we put an S with he, she, and it. So he likes sports. He is your subject, likes is your verb with an S, and sports is your object. Now let's move to the negative. The negative. How do we make the negative with I, you, we, and they? With I, you, we, and they, we just need to add don't. So for example, I don't like sports. The I is your subject, then you have don't, the like is your verb, and sports is your object. Now with he and she and it, we need to use doesn't. So he doesn't like sports. Okay, he is your subject, then you have doesn't. As you can see, we need to put an es, okay, for he, she, it, like, and sports. Okay, can you see that the s that was here with likes, we delete it. Why we delete it? Because we need to put it in doesn't. And because you already have an s here with doesn't, you don't need to put another s at like. Okay, so he doesn't like. Okay, now let's move to the WH question. So how do you ask a WH question in the present simple? Okay, so because it's a WH question, so you can use any word that starts with WH from the question word. What, where, how, why. Okay, so here you have the WH word, then you have the do, because with I, you, we, and they, we need to use a do. Then you have you, which is your subject, and like is your verb. What do you like? I like sports. Now with he and she and it, okay, we need to use does with es. So what does he like? Or what does she like? Or what does it like? So as you can see, you need the WH word, then you need to put the auxiliary does, then your subject he, and finally the verb. Now the last type of question is the yes-no question. So how do you make a yes-no question with I, you, we, and they? Well, it's very easy. You just need 4 elements, 4 things. The first one is the helping verb, do. Do you like sports? The first word is do. The second word is your subject, you. You can also put I, we, or they. Then you have the verb like, and then you have sports, which is your object. So if somebody asks you, do you like sports? You have to answer, yes, I do. No, I don't. As you can see here, you have the helping verb do that you must use again here. Okay? Do you like sports? Yes, I do. Or no, I don't. Now with he and she and it, we must use does he like sports? As you can see here, we need to put es with does because we have he. Does he like sports? Okay, so does is your helping verb, he is your subject, like is your verb, and sports is your object. So if somebody asks this question, does he like sports? You must answer, yes, he does. No, he doesn't. Okay? Why we need to put he does? Because you need to have an agreement between the question and the answer. You have he here, so you must have he there. You have does in the question, so you must have does in the answer. Now, dear students, I want you to be careful with something. So in the negative form, we don't say, I know live in Japan. This is wrong. We say, I don't live in Japan. This is correct. Also, we don't say, she doesn't has a cat. We say, she doesn't have a cat. Remember, we must not put an S here because we already have an S here. So remember that in the affirmative, in the positive form, we say, for example, he speaks English. And in the negative, he doesn't speak English. No S, because we already have an S here. So just remember that in the positive form, with I, we, you, and they, we just put the normal verb. We don't put ing, we don't put an S. And in the negative, with I, we, you, and they, we just use don't and the verb. So I work in the positive. In the negative becomes I don't work. With he, she, and it, we need to put an S. So he works, she likes, it does, it has. In the negative, he doesn't, she doesn't, it doesn't work, like, do, or have. Always remember, we only put an S in the present simple if you have he, or you have the name of a man, or she, or if you have the name of a woman, or it, or if you have an animal or a thing, like a table. Okay? He and she and it take the S here with doesn't. Thank you.